So those of you who are new, we have spent our first couple of lessons, we looked at the straight line graph, and then we looked at how we find the equation of a parabola. So we're going to quickly go over one more question about how to find the equation of a parabola. So we always start our lesson by doing something we did in the previous lesson, and then we're going to focus on drawing parabolas today, which is going to be fun. And then on Thursday, we're going to smush together straight lines and parabolas. People who got the highest marks in the quiz, you will see your names up on the screen on Thursday. So I'm making Tuesdays is our poll day and Thursdays is our quiz day. So I'm going to try and keep it that way. And a big welcome to everyone who is new. Euclidean geometry, we will only get to next term. Okay, cool. Let's get going. Oh, and to everyone who's new, my name's Jennifer Godlinton, or Jen, or ma'am, or miss. I don't mind. You can call me anything. I will answer. Okay, so a quick recap of what we did on Thursday. I am wanting to find the equation of this graph. So before we jump into it, what is my equation of a parabola? How would I, what is the equation of the parabola? Y equals what? Who remembers? Grace, tell me.
Y equals to ax squared plus 2.
Yes, glorious. Okay, I love it. In this particular, oh, I'm seeing these ax plus c's on this mx plus c. What is mx plus c? What type of graph is an mx plus c graph? You sneaky sneaks. Canva?
Straight line graph, man.
Yes, thank you. Y equals mx plus c is a straight line graph. Ooh, am I writing? Yeah, that's right. Okay, just be careful. Y equals mx plus c is straight line or linear equation. Okay, so parabola, y equals x squared plus q. Remember, it's parabola, it's quadratic, that's why we have to have that x squared. Okay, in this particular picture, is this a happy parabola or is this a sad parabola? And then depending on your answer of that, is my a going to be positive or is my a going to be negative? Monica.
Ma'am, it's a happy parabola, so it's going to be a positive.
Yes, good. Okay, I know my A value is going to be positive. Excellent. Okay, so that's a good place for us to start. We know that it's a happy parabola. We know that A is going to be positive. We also have a sneaky something down here, which is really going to help us. And then we've got something over there, which is going to help us. Okay, I'd like you all to please find this equation for me. Once you have your answers, chuck them in the chat. Doesn't matter if they're right or wrong. As long as you're trying, that's all I care about. And then we'll go through how you got to those answers. And then we'll start the work for today.
Thumbs up, guys. Talking focus, let's focus and get this right.
Okay, so what I'm asking you to do is to find the equation of this graph. So basically, I need to know what A is, and I need to know what Q is. Oh, load shedding, I'm so sorry. I'm lucky today, but you never know. And just remember that there's something on the graph which gives us one of our letters straight away. So think about which one that is. Grace, you have a question?
No, I was just wanting to answer.
Oh, no, not just yet. I just want to see a few more answers in the chat. Okay, I'm going to go through this one, but I love your enthusiasm and I want you to answer more as we move through the lesson, okay?
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, let's have a look what some of these answers are coming in. If you have the answer, chuck it in the chat. Let's see what we're doing, see if we get it right. How are we getting just zeros, guys? Where is the zeros coming from? Ah, okay. Here we go. And Paul, you fell for the thing that I fall for. You put an a instead of an x squared. I do it all the time. Don't panic. But it's also x, not an a. So just be careful. Okay. Let's have a look at it. Let's try and go through this. Oh, if you're new and you haven't covered this yet and you're feeling confused, don't panic. We'll be working on different things as we move through today. This is just recapping from Thursday. Okay, so first things first is I know my equation for a parabola is ax squared plus q, which means I need to find a and I need to find q. Okay. Oh, just highlighting everything now. Q is something important. Q is something very important. What is Q? What does that Q stand for in this graph? What does that Q tell us? Sanganam, I think I'm saying your name wrong, and I'm sorry if I've totally butchered it. Can you tell me what the Q stands for?
The y-intercept.
Yes, beautiful. Thank you. Okay, the Q stands for the y-intercept. Okay, and our y-intercept is when x is equal to 0. And so in this case, and in a parabola, it's always going to be the point of where it turns around. Okay, so your minimum or your maximum. And we can see here that it's minus 16 because that's where it crosses our y-intercept. So we actually already know that Q is minus 16. Now, if you're in a test situation, so let's say you're in a test and you're working through this and you feel lost, but you know that that Q is negative 16. Even if you can't do anything more than that step, I want you to write that step down because you get a mark for that step. So you never leave anything blank in maths. You always try something. You always put something on the page. Okay. Okay. Moko Kabale, how can I help?
Ma'am, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, ma'am, but I'm struggling to hear you.
Oh no. Is anyone else struggling to hear me today? Is my sound not great?
Your sound it's
I'm not
perfect
sure, but-
today.
Okay,
I'm
so
not
then
sure.
It might be on your side, sweetheart. Just maybe try and leave the chat and come back in. Sometimes that helps. I promise I'll be here when you come back.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, so once
No
we've gotten
problem,
this
ma'am.
point, we've got our Q value. Now we're looking for our A value. So we have to substitute in our second point. So we're going to sub in 2 and 0. Remember, that is X and that is Y. So we say Y is 0. Hopefully this is bringing back some memories from Tuesday. And X is 2. We're squaring that minus 16. Sorry, my writing is just messy on the right-hand side. Okay. So what we land up with is 0 equals 2 squared, which is 4a, minus 16. We're trying to solve for a. So I'm going to move my 16 over. When it jumps over, change a sign. So I'm going to have 16 equals 4a. I'm trying to solve for a. So I'm going to divide by 4, and I see that a is equal to 4. And we already knew that a was going to be positive because we had a happy graph. And so we land up with y is equal to 4x squared minus 16. And that is exactly what our answer should look like. Now, I know I saw a few of those coming in the chat, which is great. And, oh, good. I'm glad that it's like coming together now, guys. That's all that matters. Like, it just takes time and practice. Nice, nice job. Okay, so what we're going to do today is we're also going to work quite a bit with this equation, the y equals ax squared plus q. We're going to work with it quite a bit, but we are going to be drawing these parabolas. Okay, so it's really important today for you to have something to draw on, to have a ruler of some kind so you can draw your axes, to get a pencil. Remember, you never draw your graphs in pen. You always draw your graphs in pencil. So get your pencils, get your pens, get your rulers, make sure you're all set and ready to go, and we're going to start drawing some parabolas. And I'm going to show you some hints on how to make it a bit easier. Okay. Okay. Not finding the equation. That's lying to you. It's filled with lies. It's drawing the graph. Let's just take that lie away. There we go. Okay. You can just use normal paper. So in your matric exam, you'll just have normal lined paper where you're going to draw these graphs. And so it's quite good to get into the habit of learning how to do it on lined paper. If you just have sort of blank paper, that's also fine. If you're using a graph book, also totally fine. It's really up to you, but it's a good idea to get it used to straight lines. Grace, yes.
Ma'am, I'm going to start by solving y-intercept and x-intercept.
Good, that is exactly how we are going to start. Thank you. I'm just, okay, so, yeah, you can take a screenshot. I'm just gonna, there you go. It was lies. It was lying to us all on the screen. Okay, screenshot taken, yes. Oh, don't worry. I'm going to work through this one with you. I'm going to do this whole one with you. You don't have to jump ahead here. No one has done this yet. Everyone else, even if they aren't new, maybe they've done it in class, but we haven't done it together. So don't panic. I'm going to go through this step by step with you. Nice, serene calmness, apart from the lies, which were not calm. Okay, so here's the parabola. They're asking us to sketch the graph of f of x, which is equal to 2x squared minus 8. Now, remember, they like to say f of x, they like to say g of x, they like to say h of x, but that is just a fancy way of saying y. And that y is, it's just where we would have our y. Just for the question that came in, this is definitely the grade 10 class. So we've got y is equal to 2x squared minus 8. And if you want to write the y instead of the fx, you definitely can do that, okay? The f is just telling us which graph it is. So when we label it, we're going to write an f. We're going to do this two things. The first thing we are going to do, same way when we did our straight line graph, is we are going to find our y-intercept, okay? And then we are going to find our x-intercepts. Okay, now it's plural because we're going to have two, okay? So first things first. And I know some of you know what you're doing, and that's great. And if you're working on this by yourselves, totally fine. I'm just talking through this step by step for anyone who hasn't done it before. Okay. When we're looking for our y-intercept is when x is equal to 0 every time. Okay. And so we're going to make x equal to 0 in this equation. So I've got y is equal to 2x squared minus 8. And I now want to make x equal to 0. So y is equal to 2 times 0 squared minus 8. 2 times 0 is just 0, which means y is negative 8. And so our intercept is 0, negative 8. And remember, it's just that guy over there. We don't have to do anything fancy. We can just look at our q value. Okay, it's always going to be our q value. Okay. For our x-intercept, what we're looking for is we are saying that that is when y is equal to 0. And so we say 0 is equal to 2x squared minus 8. Now, as soon as we are looking for the x-intercepts in a parabola, we're going to have to factorize. You're always going to have to factorize every time, okay? And if I was looking at this question, the first thing I would do is take out my highest common factor. So I'd say 0 is equal to 2x squared minus 4. So that was taking out my highest common factor. Now I'm going to do difference of two squares. So we've got to try and bring back some of that factorization memory that we had from long ago. And there we've just got a quadratic equation. Remember, 0 divided by 2 is just 0, so that 2 over there just falls away. And so we see that x is equal to positive or negative 2. So my x-intercepts are going to be negative 2 and 0 and 2 and 0. So those are important things to take from this, okay? Your y-intercept is always just going to be this number here. That's always going to be that number over there. So you don't have to do any of the working. You can just see it's going to be the negative 8. And when we're looking for our x-intercept, we are always going to have to factorize. So we have to think about highest common factor and difference of two squares. And we're going to get our 2 x-intercepts. Okay. Now, all we have to do is plot these. We've done all the hard work. Now we can just plot them. My recommendation when you plot this, especially as you move up in the grades, is don't draw a grid with all the numbers. Rather plot points and then we draw in the numbers that we care about later. You'll see what I mean now. So I'm just going to say, cool, that's going to be negative 8. So that's 0, negative 8. We always label our intercepts. And now I need to say 2 and 0. So that could be somewhere like there, 2 and 0. And then sort of symmetrical, negative 2 and 0. And then all we have to do, and this does take a bit of practice, but you'll get better with time, is we have to draw a parabola. Okay? Your parabola needs to be nice and curved. So like a U. It cannot look like this. It cannot be a V, because that's actually a different type of graph. It's called an absolute value graph. So it cannot be a V. It has to have a nice curve, like a nice U that goes through the points that we have chosen. And that is a summary of how we sketch a parabola. So our first step is we want to find our y-intercept and we plot it. Then we find our x-intercepts and we plot them. And then we just draw a nice little curve. There isn't another way to do it other than factorizing, because we're dealing with x squared. And as soon as you have an x squared in an equation, you're going to have to factorize because it's a quadratic equation. Let me just go through some of these other comments before I move down. If you've done it in class and you did it a slightly different way, that's also fine. Do what you're comfortable with. How would teachers mark this? Okay, so this is actually a really important question that was just asked. How teachers mark this. This is where it's a little bit crazy, guys. Whenever you have to sketch a graph, none of this gets marked. None of that gets marked. If they've asked you to sketch a graph, the only thing they care about is the graph that you have sketched. And so you would get a mark for your intercepts, and you would get a mark for the shape of your graph. And so this question could be sort of 3 or 4 marks, depending on how lenient they're being. Let's see. So you factorize, you always, so what basically, as soon as you've made y equal to 0, you're landing up with an x squared. And so that's why it's forcing your hand to factorize. Yeah. Good point. So when you finished, you are going to want to label your graph. Now here, we don't need to say y equals 2x squared minus 8 because they told us that this graph is called f. So we can actually just write a little f. Yeah, so I wouldn't recommend that you leave out the calculations, but you definitely don't need to do them neatly. You can just kind of do them on the side and figure out what you're working out. But it depends on how you're feeling. Okay. Maketwa, how can I help?
How do you have to put the arrows on the top of the curved line?
Graph. So these graphs are continuous, so those arrows need to be there.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Sure. Comfort?
Ma'am, before you factorize, ma'am, can't you take the minus 8 over, ma'am? Then you square root both the sides, ma'am. The x squared and the 2x squared and the minus 8, ma'am.
You can definitely do that. So you could, and then you would just have plus, and the important thing is that you need to remember that when you square it, you'd get plus and minus for the x. You wouldn't just
Yeah.
have, yeah, that's fine. You can definitely do it that way. The only reason I was sort of pushing for difference of two squares is that if you have a trinomial or something, you can't just do it that way. And then you need to factorize.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, sure. Suzanne, I'm all yours.
Hello, ma'am.
Hi.
How are you, ma'am?
I'm
Ma'am,
good,
I
thank you.
wanted to ask, there's a block there that says factorized name, ma'am, and it's highlighted in like dark blue, ma'am. Then
Yeah.
there's like two brackets at the bottom that says negative, comma, 0, and then positive, comma, 0, ma'am. Must we factorize those brackets, ma'am? I don't
No,
understand
no,
why.
no, 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 no. We're factorizing this equation. That's what we're factorizing. But when we're looking for x-intercepts, we're going to factorize because we've got an x squared in our equation. That's the only reason we're factorizing. These are just our x-intercepts. That's our answer. So when x was positive or negative 2, that's what those answers were. Those are our x-intercepts. Okay. Intando, how can I help?
Ma'am, for the y-intercept, how did you find that negative 8?
It's always going to just be this number over here. It's always going to be whatever that number is, that's going to be your y-intercept.
Okay.
Okay. What happens if you don't draw the U shape? It needs to be a U shape. If it's a V shape, you will lose a mark for having the wrong shape. Emmanuel, how can I help?
Hello, ma'am.
Hi.
Ma'am, I came in late, so I just wanted to know, how did you find the x-intercept? Because I don't understand.
Okay, so sweetheart, we're going to go through this again in the next question. But you remember, even if you come in late, all of these videos are taped, so you can watch it online later. So then you can catch up with the first half of the lesson.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am.
Okay, no problem. Okay, it's okay if you're feeling a little bit lost. It's the first time we've done something like this. Don't panic. Don't panic. Okay, have a look at the next question. Think about your steps. Think about the first thing. The first thing that we spoke about in that question is we spoke about this guy over here. We spoke about A, okay? And so we said A, in this case, A is equal to negative 2. And if A is negative, then I'm going to have a sad graph. Okay, so that's the first thing that we want to think of. We want to think about A. The second thing we thought about was our y-intercept. Who can tell me what my y-intercept is? And think about how we give a y-intercept answer. Think about how you write it. So just be careful. So these answers that are coming in, I'm seeing some that are right and some which have gone sideways. Good x would be 0. So if we know that for our y-intercept x is 0, and we know that this number over here is telling us our y value, when we give it as coordinates, we always write our x value first, and then we write our y value. So we would have 0, negative 2. So always think about how you're writing it. Always write it as a set of coordinates. Okay, great. There we are. We're getting back on track. Good. Okay, so that was the first thing we did. Then the second thing we did was we found our y-intercept. Okay. So now let's think about what this graph would look like. Okay. My y-intercept would be somewhere down here, right? Because that's 0, negative 2. We've already established that we have a sad graph. It's not a happy graph because we looked at our a value. So something like this, right? That's a sad graph. So do I have any x-intercepts? Does it go through my x-axis at all? No, it doesn't go through my x-axis. So then would I spend any time trying to find my x-intercepts? No, because we're going to get non-real numbers. We're going to get errors on our calculator. It's going to cause us a lot of distress. Okay, So if we can follow this method, it's very easy to see when we're going to have x-intercepts and when we're not going to have x-intercepts. So think about it first, try and follow this step by step, and I'll help you with the next one, and then I'll let you to do one all by yourselves, I promise, okay? First step is we want to look at the shape of the graph. And we're going to say, is A positive or negative, and am I going to have a happy, sad, or a happy graph or a sad graph? Then think about your y-intercept and know that your y-intercept is going to be this number here, and plot it. Okay, it's a sad parabola because it looks like a sad face. That's why we call it a sad parabola. Then once you've plotted it, you can see if there are x-intercepts or if there are no x-intercepts. And if there are no x-intercepts, we don't solve for them. And if there are x-intercepts, we solve for them. Okay. This was just to show you that sometimes we can get ones where it doesn't look like we have. Cool. But don't panic. Don't panic, guys. We're going to do lots today. I'm going to change this one. Okay. So what we've got over here now, think about it again, step by step. First step, my A value is 1, and 1 is positive. So the 1 is telling me that because it's positive, we are going to have a happy graph. Great. Second step, we look at our Y value. Who can give me my y-intercept? Give it to me the way that I want to see a y-intercept. So give it to me in the form of coordinates. Make sure those coordinates are in brackets. Make sure that there is a semicolon between the two numbers. What is my y-intercept here? Beautiful. Beautiful, guys. Yes. Canva, just be careful to put those as coordinates. Glorious. Okay. My y-intercept as coordinates, remember it's this number here, is going to be 0. My x value will be 0. My y value is -4. So we're going to plot that. Okay, we don't need to have all of our answers before we plot. 0, -4. We know that it's a happy graph. So we can just draw ourselves a happy graph. And now we can see that we've got an x-intercept there and an x-intercept there, which we need to solve for. Okay. So third step is finding those x-intercepts. When we find an x-intercept, we make y equal to 0. So we say 0 equals x squared minus 4. If I was factorizing x squared minus 4, what am I going to use? Highest common factor, dots, trinomial. What am I going to do? Good. I'm going to use dots. I'm going to use difference of two squares. Excellent. Okay. So x plus 2, x minus 2. Therefore, x is equal to positive or -2. And so my coordinates will be -2 and 0, and 2 and 0, which means that this point will be 2 and 0, and this point will be -2 and 0. And so we actually never have to draw our grid. It doesn't have to be beautifully accurate. We can just draw our graph, and then we can put in our points just like that. Okay. So try and follow these 3 steps as you work through the next one alone. First, find your A value. Look if it's positive or negative. Second, get your y-intercept, which is this guy over here. Third step, get your x-intercepts. Okay. All right, Mokokobale, how can I help?
Ma'am, can you just explain there, but you said 0 is equals to x squared minus 4, and then 0 is equals to x plus 2 into x minus 2. Then there you said x is equals to positive -2.
Yes. So where are you feeling confused with that?
There by x positive negative, ma'am. I don't understand why you said positive and negative.
Because, okay, so if I took this bracket, if I said x plus 2 is equal to 0, then I would see x is equal to -2. And if I took this bracket, I would say x minus 2 is equal to 0, and I'd see x is equal to 2. So that's why x is equal to -2 or x is equal to +2.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. I didn't get it. Thank you so much.
No problem. Seko, I can go back and you can take a screenshot and you can rewatch it in the video, but I'm not going to re-explain this graph. Okay, for anyone who needed a screenshot, there it is. You're most welcome. Okay, we're going to come back to that, I promise. I just want you to try one by yourselves first. Okay. All right. I want you to give this one a try. So I want you to think about it all by yourselves. Think about your 3 steps. Think about each one as you go along. So think about what is a positive or negative? Is it a happy or sad graph? Then think, what is my y-intercept? And think about what the coordinates are and plot it. Okay? Draw your graph. I'm going to write that as a step. So sort of sketch the graph. And then 4, if there are x-intercepts, you find your x-intercepts. Okay, try and follow those steps and see if you can get this graph. And then once we've got this graph, then we'll go to a brain break. You will all be fine. Take a nice, deep, calming breath. Get those rulers out.
I must say I'm so impressed. You guys like try and you do your best, and that's really nice. It's nice to see all the answers. I'm also learning from you guys. So
Yeah.
keep those answers coming.
All that matters is that you're trying.
Yes.
And if you want to show me what your graph looks like, you're welcome to put it in the camera and we can have a look. You don't have to. Okay, so just be careful, Portia. Remember, we're always going to have 2 x-intercepts when we have a parabola. They're always going to be 2. Maketwa, how can I help?
You said that A is equals to 32, right? So when we
No,
are
no, careful. A would not be 32. A would be -2. That's A.
ma'am, can you quickly explain why it's -2, ma'am? I think I forgot from the last one.
No, it's okay. So your formula for a parabola is y equals ax squared plus q. So whatever number is in front of the x squared is your a value. That tells us our shape. And whatever value is there is our q value, and our q value tells us our y-intercept.
Oh, I wrote A instead of Q, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Monica, how can I help?
Ma'am, how do I show you my answer on this, on the
Like your
camera?
picture.
I have
Okay,
my
so
answer.
okay, hold on. I need to
Yes.
just move to where I can see all of your faces. So I either can see my screen or I can see your faces. Okay, so just hold up your screen to you hold up your graph to the screen, and I'll be able to see. Okay, hold it a bit closer. Ah, there we go. Okay, That's looking beautiful. Okay, that's a really nice curve. Okay, it's a little bit on the chubby side, but that's fine. We don't size discriminate in this class. It can be a bit chubby. As long as it's not triangular, I'm happy.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am,
That's
can I
looking great.
answer?
I think for the moment, I'm just going to go over these just while everyone's feeling a little bit uncertain. But when we start getting a bit more confidence, then I'll call on you, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Can you please see Owami's one?
Yeah, where's Owami?
So Owami is showing you a graph.
Oh, I see Owami. Okay, I've also asked you to unmute Owami. Okay, so good start. Got a nice curve. I like your top part. Now the problem is that those lines, they need to go all the way down past the x-axis because you need to find the two values for the x-intercepts. So bring those lines right down.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
You tried to make your graph too short, but it needs to be nice and long and tall.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Cool. Okay, let's try and go through this. Nice job, guys. I'm always here if you want to show me your graphs. I'm happy to have a look and see what's going on. Okay. Oh, yours can't be seen. I know. I'm sorry. Load shedding is not our friend. Okay. Let's try and go through this. Okay. So A is negative, which means we're going to have a sad graph. Cool. Our y-intercept is this dude over here. So our y-intercept is 0, 32. So I'm going to plot that. I've got 0, 32, and I'm going to draw my parabola. Nice and long legs. Kelebogile, you can absolutely show me your graph. Do you want to show me now quickly? Just hold it up to the camera for me. Nelisiwe, that's looking good. I'm liking that. Just remember to put the values for your x-intercepts on each side. So make sure you've written what they are, right? Those coordinates. Am I missing someone's graph?
I'm just having a look at all of them. This is a lot, so I'm just getting through quickly.
I can't see your picture. It's not coming up as a. I feel like I'm doing something silly. Oh, there we go. I can see. Oh no, now I've lost you. You were right there, and now you're gone. I don't mind if you're shy, guys. You don't have to show me. As soon as you get more confident, then you will see me. Don't panic. Okay, so that's our first step. If you got to this point, I'm already really happy. Okay, so if you got to this point, I'm already like, yes, awesome, I'm excited. Okay, so we have found A, we found our y-intercept, we've sketched our graph. Now we just need to find our x-intercepts. Okay, so when we're looking for our x-intercepts, I've got 0 is equal to negative 2x squared plus 32. Okay, now I'm going to show you the method that was spoken about. I actually can't even remember which learner brought it up. We can do this as like a sneaky way to find what our x values are. The problem is that sometimes people forget that there's a plus and minus. So you're allowed to do this as long as you don't forget that there's a plus and minus. Okay, if you forget that there's a plus and minus, I'm going to be very cross. I'm going to come and haunt your dreams. Okay, so if we were looking for this, we could move our 32 over and say that negative 32 is equal to negative 2x squared, divide by negative 2, and so 16 is equal to x squared. And then when we square root it, if we square root 16, we have to have a plus and a minus, which means x would be plus or minus 4. So you are allowed to do it that way if you don't forget the plus and minus. If you forget the plus and minus, you're not allowed to do it this way. Our other option is to do it as a factorization. So 0 is equal to negative 2x squared plus 32. I'm going to take out negative 2 as my common factor, and I'll be left with x squared minus 16. That negative 2 can fall away because it's 0 divided by negative 2 is 0. So I have x plus 4, x minus 4, which means x is equal to plus or minus 4. Same. The square root is easier. I'm not denying that. The square root is easier. The problem with the square root is that people forget that there are two answers. And so then you really mess up your graph quite badly if you forget that. The other problem with the square root is that when we get into other things like trinomials, we have to be able to factorize. But I'm happy with you doing whichever method you find easier, as long as you don't forget the important things about it. So I'm happy for you to work this way, as long as you don't forget that plus and minus. Okay. Now when we plot that onto that graph, we say, cool, that means that this is -4, and that means that this is 4. We're going to give him his name, which is H, and we're done. That's our whole situation. Okay, Juliet, how can I help?
Hi, ma'am.
Hi.
So I drew the graph and I did the first step exactly as it is on the screen, right?
Yeah, okay.
But then when it came to the x-intercept, like I got lost. I did everything, but then I forgot that I'm supposed to like write it as 2x squared minus 60. That part is like confusing me.
Okay. Okay, so what we did here was we took out a highest common factor of -2. That's all I did in that step over there. So we just took out a highest common factor of -2. But what you might find easier is this version over here that's highlighted. So all we've done there is we followed it like a normal equation. So we've moved the 32 over. So we moved that 32 to the other side. Then we divided both by -2. So we got x squared equals 16. And then when we square rooted 16, we have plus or minus 4.
Okay,
So
thank you.
maybe try this blue method when we try our next one.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, let's have a look. Can they make you find the equation of a parabola? Yes, they absolutely can. In your grade 10 exam at the end of the year, and maybe in June, you will definitely have one of each type of graph. And in our lesson on Thursday, we're going to try and combine them together. Okay, cool. And it doesn't matter if you were so close. Why is the graph a he? I don't know. I seem to make all graphs he. I very rarely call a graph she. In my mind, they're clearly male. Who knows why? Who knows? Not me. Okay. The important thing with this graph was this was the first one you did solely by yourselves. So I want you to try and think about what you learned from this, like think about what you did wrong and that you now know how to do better, and think about how you can implement that in the next graph that we do. Okay. I'm going to quickly do a brain break with you. So a little puzzle for those who are new. It's just a very quick break. And then we're going to go into another one like this. Portia, yes. The parabola is the only one that will have 2 x-intercepts. We do get into some funky graphs. Technically, trig function graphs have more than 2, but we'll get there. Okay, brain break time. I'm going to warn you that the grade 9's got it. So my expectation is high. Those of you who are new, please don't panic. This is nothing scary. You don't actually really have to understand what's going on. It's just something fun for you to try to give your brain a bit of a break from the maths that we're doing. So I'm trying to find the answer to this guy. It's not the only graph with a V shape. You get a graph that is an actual V, not curved, that looks like that. And that's called an absolute value graph, like this. But you only do absolute value graphs in AP maths or in university, if you do maths in university. You're welcome. Okay, so I'm wanting to know what the answer to this last line is. And when you have an answer, let me know. And I know that it's tricky, but if the grade 9's got it, then you can get it.
Come on, guys, we can do this. Let's do it.
At least I didn't do it as quickly as last week. No, Noni, it's not.
Yeah, this one is tricky, guys, but we can do it. I believe in all of you. Let's try it. Give it a try.
Not 73, what? Not 173, not 169. Not 90. Not 150, not 420. Noni. Not 128, not 280. Not 81, not 77, not 106. Not 150. Not 87, not 112. Nope. Nope. Not 79. No. 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 No.
Well
No,
done,
no, no,
guys,
no.
for trying. Well done.
They are just guessing numbers here. No,
Yeah, instead
no,
of calculating.
no.
See.
Well, yes, YouTube is 7.
Okay, guys, now we have a clue. YouTube is 7, guys.
94, no. 88! Jade!
Yay!
Yes! Woohoo!
Well done,
Jade, can you tell us what your last line looked like? So how did you write out your last line? What were the numbers that you used just for your last line? You can type it in the chat. I'll show you why. Okay. We all could see that YouTube was 7. 7 plus 7 plus 7 is 21. Cool. Okay, so that means YouTube is 7, YouTube is 7, YouTube is 7. Then we've got Facebook times YouTube plus Facebook is 72, which means that Facebook was 9. So 9 times 7 and then plus 9 gave us 72. So now we know that that's 9. Then we had some Instagram times 9 plus Instagram was 80. And so we saw that Instagram was 8. So 8 times 9 plus 8 gave us 80. And then this sneaky guy here is YouTube plus Facebook. So 7 plus 9, which is 16, plus Facebook times Instagram, which gives us 88. Well done, Jade. Our lone winner today. Okay, let's try do one more parabola for today, and we will then call it a night. Let's do this one. Okay. All right, give that one a try for me, guys. Sketch this graph. Oh, you times YouTube and Facebook. Oh, that's so depressing. Buhle, as soon as we're finished going through everything, I'll go through each page. Nice start, Portia. That's a great start. Good. A is positive. So we have a happy graph. Good. Okay, I'm seeing good answers coming in here. Y-intercept 0, -50. Once we get to that point, we plot it. 0, -50. Plot, it's a happy graph, so it's going to come up. Plot, get your arrows. You can name it now if you would like to. So we've sketched it. Last step is I want to find what these intercepts are. It's our last step. Oh, Wami, yes, how can I help?
Ma'am, can I do the x-intercept?
Talk me through.
Okay, so I did, you see the previous one when you told us we could do the blue.
You can?
I got +5 and -5.
Okay,
Plus-
so
plus
let's
and
talk
minus
that through. So 0 is equal to 2x squared minus 50. What did you do after that?
I took the 50 over, so it became a positive
Good.
50. And then I said 50 divided by 2, which gave me 25.
Good.
And then I square rooted that, which gave me positive and -5.
Yes, and you didn't leave the positive and negative out, so I'm not cross with you. I'm happy. Well done. -5, +5. Nice job. Nice job. Okay, if you guys did the factorizing way, so that's if we use the square rooting way, if you do the factorizing way, we would say 0 equals 2, x squared minus 25, 0 equals x plus 5, x minus 5, so therefore x equals positive or -5. Nice job, guys. Grace, you can absolutely answer on Thursday. Awesome job. So now we know how to find the equation of a parabola and we know how to draw a parabola. We might be able to squeeze in. Okay, we can squeeze in one more, but you're gonna have to do it super quick because we're running out of time. I'm just gonna. Oh, well, this is a quick one, so that's nice. This is a quick graph, so I'm not too worried. Oh, sorry, Yolanda, I think I tried to force you to unmute. That was a mistake. This is a nice quick graph. Don't overthink it. Ooh. If you follow the steps, you will be fine. And then I'll quickly go through each page. Yeah, A can definitely be a fraction. A can definitely be a fraction. And then on Thursday, we're going to try and combine some straight lines and parabolas in one question. If you follow my steps, you'll see why this is such a quick graph. In the Bentley, how can I help?
Ma'am, I wanted to know if I could say the answer for this one.
Sure, talk me through.
Okay, so ma'am, basically, since it was y equals -3x squared minus 12, a is equal to -3, so that means it's going to be an upset or upside down line.
Yeah, good.
So then what I did was I put the y-intercept on the other side. So then it became 12 equals -3x squared. And then I divided that by -3 both sides. And then I got -4 equals 2x squared. And then I square rooted that on both sides. And then I got x equals -2, well, -2.
Okay, so you did some things that were really great and then some things went a little bit sideways, and I'll show you where now. So if we go through these steps, so A is definitely negative, it's a sad graph, you said that beautifully. Our y-intercept is definitely 0 and -12, okay? So it would be somewhere there, 0, -12, okay? But it's a sad graph. So I'm not going to have any x-intercepts. Now, if you had tried to do this in your calculator, you would have seen, so if we followed your logic there, we had a 0 equals negative 3x squared minus 12. You moved your 12 over, so we had 12 equals negative 3x squared, and then we divided by negative 3, so we got negative 4 is equal to x squared. Negative 4 isn't allowed to equal x squared because we can't square root a negative number. It's non-real. We can't do that. It's not something we're allowed to do. And so that was, if you had put the square root of negative 4 into your calculator, it would have come up as undefined or maths error, because it's not something we're allowed to do. And the reason it came up as undefined or math error is because we don't have any x-intercepts. Okay, guys, I'm quickly going to go, I'm going to quickly go through each page so you can very quickly take a screenshot, but you need to be on the go for screenshots. Don't worry, we're going to talk all about domain and range in our lesson on Thursday. Because then Yolanda needs to do a quick poll with you because it's Tuesday. Tuesday's poll day. Okay, I'm literally counting down on 5 on each one. Okay, next page.
Come on, guys, grab it, grab it, grab it. This is the next example.
4, 3, 2, 1. Next page.
I hope you are grabbing it, guys. And also just remember you can actually get these notes.
Yeah, guys, remember that all of the videos are on the website.
Okay, I think this is the last one, no, second last.
Last one, I think. No, ooh, we've got 2 more.
Oh no, 2 more.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Next one. And we're done. Okay, and I'm passing you on to Yolanda so that she can do a poll with you guys.